flow of awareness, a flow of consciousness. And that is the actual substance of our being, if we are willing to explore it in depth, like Tai says, to look deeply. So I was listening to this young guy, he's maybe 50, not that young. He was talking about these issues of consciousness and awareness and suffering and impermanence, and he made this analogy of, imagining consciousness as a vast river, and the water is the stuff of consciousness, and then it coalesces into a whirlpool, which is kind of a localization of the river. It's a concentration of energy in one kind of spot. And so he makes that analogy that human personalities are kind of formed that way. There's kind of a whirl of energy going on between our parents, and we kind of come in there from this awareness, a mysterious awareness somewhere. How does it happen? All of a sudden the seed is, and then planted, and then all of a sudden we're a whirlpool going around with all this energy and experience, and it's a river flowing. It's a mystery, but so I made some notes of his thing because he's very clear, so I want to make sure this is a clear presentation. He said, just like the cloud is a localization of the sky, so the whirlpool is a localization of the river, and we are a localization of awareness, the infinite consciousness, the mystery. But each whirlpool is made out of the water of the same river, just like we're made out of this awareness that we are. And, this practice has really helped me, and I know it has helped a lot of other people, realize how deeply embedded we are in this awareness, just like how deeply embedded the whirlpool is in the river. You can't take a whirlpool out of the river. You can take water out of the river, but the whirlpool's gone. You can't remove us from this awareness we are. Then we're nothing. Once you try and do that, our very existence is dependent on this awareness of here and now, that we're here right now. So being willing to fully enter that embedded, pervaded state, realizing that our very, very substance is the very substance of this river of consciousness. We realize that each, whirlpool that we are in the river is slightly different configuration. It's a different expression of the river. Like our minds are different expressions of consciousness. We have these varied energies, and they're coming in from other whirlpools and from inside us and from the river itself, and we're interacting with all these other whirlpools. And this is our life, But they're all made of the same life force. And, the metaphor collapses in some sense because the actual river out there, is made of this cosmic consciousness. The earth, like Einstein said, is energy, condensed energy. So, no particular whirlpool divides the river, just like no human experience divides the river of consciousness, the awareness that we are. So it's a single, seamless flow. And every thought kind of alters, all of our experience kind of alters our whirlpool. We're so embedded and we're affected by and influenced by all these different energies coming in. And, I think of this saying, hell or high water, it's scary. It's like the equivalent of hell is high water, so we're deeply afraid of life. We're afraid to allow ourselves to be immersed in this river of consciousness. But everything is coming, it seems to be coming from outside of us, but it's not coming from outside of consciousness. Because our very being is this awareness. So, In this analogy, you could say death is the dispersion of the whirlpool. So the whirlpool loses its solidity and stability, just like we lose our ego. Our body starts falling apart when we get older. So I made the comment earlier before all of you were here that I feel like my whirlpool is unwinding. The energies begin to flow out with the river at large, like our finite awareness loses its solidity and merges with the cosmic river of consciousness. But whirlpools don't just vanish, and that's true of us as the whirlpools of awareness or consciousness. They gradually unwind. And as they unwind, they send ripples out into the river. Long after they've vanished, the residues and energies that sustained it are still present, flowing in the river. And those energies may gather again someplace downstream and coalesce into another whirlpool that will grow into a big whirlpool. And that whirlpool will contain some of the residues of the previous whirlpool. So in a way, I'm not sure if Bernardo was planning to put it out this way, but it's sort of a theory, one theory, and it makes a lot of sense in our actual experience of reincarnation and consciousness being transferred from one body mind to another, So all these energies come in and coalesce in some way into a new person. And maybe we're, and that has a lot in common with what Tai says is he's reborn into all these people and people are reborn into him. And, we're part of our ancestors and we're all reborn into numerous bodies, and it's all a total mystery. And it all makes me feel so small when I'm trying to talk about it. But just letting it flow out, the stuff makes a lot of sense. And one real potential beneficial effect, and a big benefit for me of making this analogy is that it's so clear that the power of the river is what forms the whirlpools. In other words, the power of infinite consciousness, the power of God, the power that formed the universe, that forms, the energy that formed the Big Bang. If you believe in the Big Bang, maybe a Big Bang happened, but that energy that formed the Big Bang, that's the source of our whirlpools. That's the source of the river, and that's the source of the whirlpools. So that force has the power to take the form of like swirling water. Water starts swirling by this mysterious force and starts forming these energies that coalesce into a center that we call me. But what happens in the whirlpool doesn't have a lot to do with what we want to happen or what we think is going to happen. It's from that power, So the power of surrender and the power of realizing our shared being, the nature of our shared being, the vast openness and the vast unconditional acceptance of it all. There's so much compassion that comes from that, just like there's so much compassion in Tai's talking about impermanence. And we may be unwinding, like the energy here in this whirlpool of me is like, my vision is a little blurrier now. I had cataract surgery and I see a lot better, but I can tell the brain's not working quite the same way. I used to be a good athlete. I used to be an athlete, but now it's like, now I can like shoot baskets with my kid, but I can't play basketball with him. I can't run, So the whirlpool here is winding down, but there's this opening that's starting of being able to access the energy that's incomprehensible. And there's incomprehensible compassion in that energy. So let us all persevere and learn to absorb the wisdom of Thai and love each other. Okay. So I'm interested in how this presentation of the Whirlpools affects everybody. Questions, comments?
I'll bow in. The whole time you were talking, I was thinking of how I am impelled to use spirals in my paintings. So, I mean, I guess that's just a metaphor, but I did a painting of Amida Buddha, the Buddha of the Pure Land, the Buddha of endless light. And I used spirals to, and then wrote the chant to Amida Buddha within the spiral, and then put a little secret message in the spiral. I have 2 spirals painting. And, it happens. They go into the paintings. Sometimes I'll put a spiral on a leaf, So it's interesting to me, the whirlpool thing. One other thing that crossed my mind is that one time when Philip and I were on the Delaware River, we were out on a wind dam, and our dog was with us. We had another fuzzy terrier, and the dog fell into the water, and there was a whirlpool right there. And so Philip decided to jump in and save the dog, and he got caught in the whirlpool too. And another person had to jump in to save both Philip and the dog. But they lived. People come on that river every summer, so it can be serious. But whirlpools, they bring to mind many things for me. Thank you, Roger. That was beautiful.
Yeah. Oh, well, thank you, Judith. What came up for me while you were talking is, that really confirms that when we're in the whirlpool like that, then we realize how much we want to wake up, right? So,
really.
And it's like we tend to think there's 8 billion of us, right? I think the number is close to 8 now. So there's 8 billion whirlpools that we're all in, that are all out there circulating around. But more and more, it seems like no, there's just one big cosmic energy that can take the form of 8 billion whirlpools, and that's our connection. Yes. Yeah. Morning, Timothy. Good to see you. Anybody else?
Impermanent.
Morning, Bob.
Hey, Bob.
When I saw the email you sent out on the impermanence, I thought, okay, I'll revisit this again, okay? Because I've had it over the years. I get it, and then I don't get it. So, but as you were going through that, I was thinking that there's an example of impermanence. The concept of impermanence is impermanent in my mind. So it's kind of an oxymoron. I don't know what that's called, but but I get it. I don't get it. It's weird. So I'm still on again, off again on the idea of the impermanence. And I'll probably won't think about it for a while. And then, down the road, I'll think about it again. I said, okay, let's go revisit impermanence again.
Well,
going through this thing. I keep going in. I get caught in the whirlpool. I think of that as a whirlpool. Get sucked into that, and then can't seem to get out of it. And eventually, I get out of it, and it's the impermanence of the concept that is. I don't know if that's a good example, but it's where I'm kind of stuck sometimes. So.
Well, exactly. I mean, I was just going to say there was so much wisdom in what you said, and I was wondering, well, are you really aware of that? And then you just said something else that made me realize you are aware of it. It's the in and out with the concept, because of course the concept is in and out. So as long as we're stuck on the concept, we will be in and out with it. Yeah, but
I'm glad you brought up the whirlpool, because that is a little more concrete of the concept, or
right, yeah.
rather than an abstract
Yeah.
term of impermanence.
Yeah, there was a quote by Rupert Sparrow, who's a really influential teacher for me. He's very, very, very awake. And he said, in relation to impermanence, he said, give your mind, in other words, give your mindful awareness to what comes and goes, but give your heart to what is always with you. So when we're in and out with the concept, we can remind ourselves to give our heart to what is always with us, what is always here. Not to the concept of what is always here, but to what's actually here,
Yeah, Roger, you used the word surrender. Right at the moment that you used the word surrender, I was thinking, surrender. That happens sometimes. But that's the ultimate, is surrendering to what is. That's all we need to do. It's so simple. It's so simple. Just surrender. If you look at the 4 establishments of mindfulness and the Buddha's teachings, Thai put that into 16 breaths so that it's a long meditation. And the very last one, number 16, is about letting go. Mm-hmm. That's it. Everything in our practice leads to letting go.
Yeah.
Letting go to the whirlpool.
And in a way, it's already happening. When you look at how whirlpools are, they may not be aware of letting go, but if you look at them, like they're not in control. So the letting go is sort of inherent in being a whirlpool, because if you have to let go, if the letting go isn't happening, it means you're in control, and it's happening. It's already happening,
Yep. Let's hear from other people.
Hi, everyone.
Hi, Bo.
Morning.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay. So thank you, Judith, for this meditation, and thank you, Roger, for your talk on it and the whirlpool analogy. Roger, when you were talking about the whirlpool, I was trying to apply that to my direct experience. Like, how can I kind of take that analogy and put it into what's here? And if everything in my current experience is like this, vast river that's flowing, and I kind of take the body mind to be this whirlpool, I first noticed that there isn't actually it's not like beyond the body is like this flow, change, and permanence, and then like closer to the body is this more permanent thing that's constantly trying to stabilize itself. It's like, no, that's actually also always changing. Like you said, and Judith said this, that like when we first sat down, our body and mind was different than how our body and mind is right now. Like the experience is constantly changing. but the capacity of that experience or the nature of the water is never changing. And just in recognizing that, I feel like that is what helps, like seeing that more and more is what helps like unwinding before the whirlpool unwinds naturally. Like they say, die before you die. Like, see that I already, my experience is that I'm the water or the capacity of this experience and not necessarily like the appearance of the whirlpool. That's kind of, I'm just what's holding this experience. I'm what's allowing the experience. And as you said, like letting go has already happened. It's not like there's something in this experience that has to let go for something to happen. That's already happening by itself. So it's more of a noticing that even like these ideas of like, oh, like I'm fixating on something, I have to loosen that perspective, I have to try to, let go of frustration or whatever's coming up. Noticing that frustration is already loosening by itself without anything outside of it doing anything. Like that's not actually what's happening. Because like thoughts are, reflecting off of each other, and that whirlpool energy sometimes seems to be very, very wound up. It can seem like there's something inside the whirlpool that has to do something for the whirlpool to be different, for that capacity to be more clear. But that in itself is already just part of what's happening. That's already part of the flow. The texture of that thought is already a molecule of water.
Yeah.
And seeing that is freedom.
Yeah, thank you, Bo. Yeah, it's like, the molecules of water or the energies of our experience, seeing, hearing, thinking, feeling, are always pouring in, and then we're always giving them out at the same time, so the winding is always going on. And sometimes the intensity gets really wound up, especially in young people now. I just was with my son and met his girlfriend yesterday for the first time. They're 20 years old, 20 years old, wow. And they've got all this wound up energy, and they're really trying to look for outlets, but they're happy with each other. They found each other, and it's great. And I'm so happy for them. And I worry about the world, what kind of whirlpools are coming next, it's like, but man, there's just, all you can do is go with the flow, right? And then our role, at least it feels like my role, is just to want to know more. Not in the mind's unwinding, but as the mind unwinds, there's more space for the energy of love and acceptance to come in. And who knows how much effect we can have, just as these little tiny minuscule whirlpools, who knows how much we can affect the totality.
Thank you, Judith and Roger and everyone for sharing. So I live in Miami, as some of you may know, and it seems like everybody is moving to Miami. Maybe Judith, I don't know if it was your daughter included. Everybody's moving here, and there's. I'm sorry, what was that?
She's close to Miami. She's close to Miami.
Got it. So for me, there's almost like a physical feeling that it's getting more and more and more and more and more and more. This sense of what I would call turbulence of whirlpools. And as I was, I don't want to get too caught up in the metaphor because it was very helpful, Raj. Thank you. And that's how metaphors are. Right? They're tricky. They can catch us in their own little spirals. But it made perfect sense to me. And then, as I was hearing it at one point, that, this meditation of you cannot contemplate no self without this sense of impermanence and no self and like that. And same thing with Bob. I've understood it and then not understood it and all the rest of that. But in this particular experience, I could feel this sort of physical, like almost like my head was pulsating a little bit. Like, what do you say? Like this clinging, this clinging to this physical feeling of like, no, I live here, this type of thing. And I realized like that's part of my experience of the turbulence. And then so I was, listening to people talking and my thoughts were going like, how the hell am I gonna like just flow? And this spiraling and unwinding or whatever. And I realized it's not just with age, as you mentioned, Raj, for me at least, but literally coming back to this space of zazen for me, practice, or respite in the evenings. My 19-year-old came home and I had this like sanctuary space, and it got like all turbulent and I was like, I'm gonna leave. I'm gonna live in a hotel. And then I thought to myself, well, no, this is why I'm a mom. This is why I live here. This is what I want. This turbulence. So I just find a way to like resettle it and all this. But for me, I guess, the whirlpools can be dangerous, right? So, the dog can fall in and our partners or whatever, and then we're powerless and all that. So that is still like a present thing for me, especially if I turn on the news or even, frankly, go too far down the street in Miami, because the things that are occurring are just not even like, I don't even know what to say. But at any rate, remembering this unwinding can happen. And I do have a part. I feel that I do have a part, even though I know I don't. But I can put myself in certain positions so as not to be a dangerous whirlpool, and also not to be, sucked into some of these other mega wattage dangerous whirlpools that are nearby. Thank you.
Thank you, David.
Beautiful.
Looking good, by the way. So you must be letting go pretty well, considering where you are and all the stuff going on there. I know when I was there a couple of years ago, wow, this energy in Miami, it's really. But then going to the beach, remember we went to the beach, it was beautiful. And then there's all that spaciousness. And I was talking in another group about how one person was saying, well, how do we come from the spaciousness that was in this beautiful online meditation that Larry gave, Larry Camarada. So one person, how do we transition from this vast spaciousness of awareness into our everyday life? It's like, how do I go? And it just came to me, it's like, well, the spaciousness isn't something you go in and out of, because no matter if you're in this whirlpool and you're drowning in the whirlpool, the spaciousness doesn't go anywhere. There's a space around everything, and all you have to do is notice it, I mean, it doesn't mean we won't hurt, and it doesn't mean our fear and anxiety will immediately go away, but just reminding ourselves that we are spacious and continuing on, you know?
Bo was saying.
Yeah.
That's exactly what Bo was saying. Nothing to do. There's nowhere to go.
Mm-hmm.
Just be.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I love the simplicity of it.
Mm-hmm.
It's done. We're all Buddhas.
There you go. Yeah. Mm. Did you want to say something, Mary Jo?
Oh, sure. I guess the one little thing I have to add is when you were speaking, Roger, and when Judith, you were talking about the spirals and the whirlpools, and what came to mind for me was I just recently rewatched a movie that I love called 7 Years in Tibet, and it has Brad Pitt, and then he is in Lhasa City, in the where the Dalai Lama lives, and it was at a really tumultuous time right before the communist Chinese moved in and just took over. And the monks in the temple were working on this beautiful mandala, this big spiral that was meant to be an offering of peace, a gift for the generals that were coming, the honored guests that were coming. And they came in and they just stomped all over this gorgeous mandala on the temple floor. And the monks were still around. It was like a continual in the process of making it. And I guess for me, that was just a metaphor of how these things are impermanent. And it didn't show it in the movie, but I just envision the patient monks going right back to it after it had been stomped and scattered, and just continually making this peaceful mandala in the midst of all the chaos around. And so I just think we have to, our spirals, our little whirlpools that we do, they can be disrupted by change. But once again, the acceptance of that change, the compassion for ourselves and for everyone around us. And we just keep working on our little mandalas, and hopefully it's helpful to everyone. So that's all.
Yeah, thank you. Beautiful. We keep on going. That reminds me of a book that one friend of mine who was also a Buddhist teacher, but he recently passed away on Christmas Day. So he's a Zen teacher, in the Zen tradition, Japanese Zen tradition. And he's also into Rupert Spira. And he told me about this book called The Practice of the Presence of God by this Christian mystic, Brother Lawrence. And his whole thing was that he just had all this faith in God, that God was always here with me, no matter what I do. And he made no distinction between, he lived in a monastery and he washed the dishes and he worked in the kitchen and did all this menial work. And just the awareness that God was with him. It's a very short book, but what he said wasn't transforming, but his life transformed all the people around him because he was so at peace and just so accepting of what is, He was really able to get out of the conceptual frameworks of things without studying. It was just his own spirit of inquiry and faith and openness to the presence of the bigger picture, I guess you could say.
So, folks, if I would give Timothy and Norma a chance to speak before we go, though. Could we hear from you guys? Perhaps not. Okay.
Norma's trying, I think. Oh, there's Timothy. He said, no?
No? Okay. All right. Perfect. So we'll just end with the sharing of the radiance of this practice, which is much more powerful than you can even imagine. May the radiance of this practice benefit all beings and bring peace. Let me ask you something. Does the bell sound cut off at some point?
I'm not sure.
I don't think so.
Oh, good. Okay, that's good.
The bell sounds wonderful.
Yeah.
Norma's used that bell many times.
Many
very
times.
bell.
Yeah, yeah.
Norma, are you going to be with Vesak celebration this afternoon at Herb?
I'm thinking about it. It's a lot of people, but if the weather's nice and it's outdoors, I'll go.
I'm going. So
Oh, you are?
I'll see you in person. We'll get a hug.
Yay.
I wish you could be there, Roger, but you said you have other plans, so.
Nikki's coming over with his girlfriend. We're going to walk to the creek and
Nice.
That's important. That's important.
Yeah.
So I hope you all have a beautiful week, and I love you all.
love you all. Thanks for coming. Great to see
Hi,
you.
everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye. So,
Hey.
hey, were you hearing a lot of, sounds like the static's gone. So it sounds like all that static must be coming from Judith's connection because,
Must be. It almost, at first it sounded like one of those broadcasting tests that they do in the
yeah,
background, but it just kept going and going.
just kept-
So
yeah. And
I
then
could
she,
still hear everybody, but it was a little annoying. Yeah.
yeah, I'll have to let her know that. And I don't know if there's anything she can do about it. Really, she's got a new computer. She just,
Yeah.
I gave her some money to buy a new Apple computer, $2,200
Oh, wow.
or something. Yeah. But,
Yeah. Well, her connection was good and strong other than that. So
yeah, the
it
volume
might
was
have
great.
been just a thing going on today. So hopefully, yeah, it'll be okay.
Well,
Or it might have even been Timothy. He came in a little
I think
later.
it-
I don't know. It seemed like it didn't
I
start
think it was
from the
going on
beginning.
when she started. Remember, she asked to mute at the very beginning of her meditation. Yeah.
That's when it started.
So that's
Okay.
probably what it was. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you had Hannah. How long was Hannah there?
Hannah was here about a week. She left midweek before Mother's Day. She had to get back. But she was here and she brought her dog and her cat. And, her dog is really anti-social with other dogs. So we
Really?
had to keep her animals downstairs, and we had Sachi and Charlie upstairs.
Yeah.
Everything worked out fine, but it was a little tense, it was a little,
Okay. Yeah.
but it all worked out fine. And then she went up and she spent a couple days with Shirley, and then she drove back to Iowa. But
Did Shirley come
yeah,
down?
she's done. That's that.
Did Shirley come down for Mother's Day?
She did.
Oh, good.
She
Good.
actually, and then she had a flight Monday morning, last Monday. So we got her to the airport really early, and but it all worked out great. Yeah.
All right.
Her
good,
dog
good.
came too.
Yeah.
And so her dog stayed with us for a few days, and then she picked Flynn up on the way back. So
Yeah, her dogs are
yeah,
really.
finally. And then Jim, he left Thursday morning. He is visiting family. He drove back to Iowa to visit his brother and sister in the Des Moines area. And then he met up with John, and they are driving to Chicago. And
To
they're
see a
gonna
Cubs
couple
game?
Cubs games.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
this next week they're going to watch the Cubs. So Yeah, so it's just,
All right.
it's so quiet here now after being so wild, comings and goings. So it's kind of nice.
Oh yeah,
so
you've got that
peaceful.
big house all to yourself. You and
Yeah.
Sachi, right?
Just me and the
Yeah,
animals. Yeah, it's been kind of nice.
Good. All right.
Yeah. And you have, so you've got Nicky with you, right? Or is he staying?
Well, he always
elsewhere?
stayed. Well, he and Ellie are staying because he has his own room with a big bed at Mom's
Yeah.
house, so
That's
they're
nice.
staying down there. And then I think they're going back tomorrow sometime.
Okay.
Going back, yeah.
But you guys are going to do a creek walk. I bet that.
Yeah, we'll just go down there, and then we'll probably have to
Yeah.
give Bruno a bath afterwards, 'cause
Yeah, I know how that goes.
Yeah.
Well, good.
Yeah.
That'll be great.
I hope
That's
I don't run
great.
into the guy that didn't wave at you.
Oh,
Remember
yeah.
you took and you waved the guy and didn't wave.
Oh, yeah. No, he's
Oh.
like on the road way past Pinky's. You keep going and you go down another road. I don't remember the name of it, but I don't think you'll.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's what I mean.
Hopefully
That's
you
yeah. So we won't walk all the way across there. I think what they might be wanting to do is do that, and I'll say, well, no, we're not going to walk all the way across that flat top there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe just go up to the top and see everything, maybe halfway and then go back.
Right.
Yeah, because I think that, didn't you say he owns the property if you go, yeah, as long as you don't run into,
It might feel like trespassing for them. Yeah.
you don't want him to have any guns or anything.
Well, there's a shooting range on the hill there, and I'm not sure if it's on their property or not.
Yeah.
But it's right up the hill. Sometimes I hear them shooting, kind of thing.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah.
You don't want to be a target. That's crazy. Yeah.
It reminds me just to be grateful that I'm not living in old times when the shooting was not a shooting range, was actual shooting, fighting
Right.
and stuff. Yeah.
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 Wow. Well, I was going to tell you, I didn't have a chance to tell you on my phone message, but yeah, we went up to Fort Collins weekend before Mother's Day, and Jim ran the marathon, but he had an injury at about like mile 20. He got about 20, 21 miles, but it was a downhill marathon from the foothills,
Yeah.
and the trail was slanted. And so he had to go to the doctor, and the doctor said when it's slanted like that, a lot of people get injuries in their hips. And that happened to Jim. So he's all better now. He stopped. He texted me, and I was able to pick him up right around mile 20. But yeah, he was in a lot of pain, but it was good he stopped, because normally he'd push his way through or just walk to the end to say he finished it.
Mm-hmm.
But the doctor said it was really good that he stopped when he started having pain.
Yeah, because it could have
been a
just
permanent injury.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it could have really intensified the
Yeah.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
So anyway,
Well, good.
he didn't finish, but he didn't seem too bummed about it. And then that night we actually, just to celebrate Hannah's being home and Jim finished doing his best on the marathon, we went to Sherpa's. I wanted to tell you that.
Oh, good. Yeah.
It was wonderful. We went to Sherpa's and
That was a really cool place. Yeah.
It is. And I don't think we had been there in a long time, but every time I go there, I think of you, and I just think of.
Didn't we
it's
take
kind of our
Sachi
hub
there?
for family togetherness? So.
Yeah, we took Sachi there the last time I was out there, didn't we?
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure we did.
yeah.
She liked it, I think.
Yeah, she really likes it there too.
Yeah.
We didn't have to take Sachi this time. It was a little chillier, so we ate indoors, and it was very nice. They had all the windows open, and it was great.
Yeah. Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
That's great.
It's good talking to you. And
Yeah.
everything else. Your eye looks good. Your eyes look really good.
I
But
think
you
it's
still have a little.
there's still a little blurriness if I'm right under a bright light, it's more noticeable, the difference between the right and the left. But I think I don't know if it's going to get any better. I'm going to go see him the first week of July, so maybe about another month and a half or so. And
that gives it plenty of time. And
Yeah.
if it isn't better, you'll be able to see if there's anything else that can be done.
Right.
And if it is better, great, you know?
Well, yeah, and I might need some glasses for certain types of reading or something. But right now, I can. My near vision is really good. I mean, I can see
That's great.
I can look. I can pick up pill bottles. You know, in that little tiny. I mean, there wasn't even. I mean, you could barely just see that there's there's writing there. You know, before, but now I can
Now
actually
you can
read it. You know, so that's
Hey.
good. So I don't know what I'll need, but it's all part of the Whirlpool unwinding. You can tell Jim,
It is.
you know, the whirlpool of your body may be unwinding, so it's an opportunity to unwind in other ways, you know, kind of thing, in a more positive way.
There's always.
Yeah.
Can you drive without glasses?
I haven't been, well, I do wear the dark glasses when I
Right.
drive because the sun, you know, it doesn't help. The really bright lights don't help.
Yeah.
But at night, I've been okay driving at night.
Good.
Yeah, not a problem.
That's good.
So, you know, it's funny though. I mean, part about how your brain doesn't work as well and stuff. Because remember when I dropped you off at the airport and I told you I lost my phone?
You lost your phone.
Yeah, and so then, okay, so 2 months, about a month and a half later, I was in the grocery store and I was going to take my hearing aids out because I didn't want to, because sometimes when you're with a mask and stuff, they might fall out. So I put them in and they got intertwined, and I put one back in and the other one fell somewhere. And so I looked through the whole car, couldn't find it. I looked outside the car, didn't see it right away. And, you know, so I went and got another one, and, but anyway, it was worked good because it would have been $900, but it was still under warranty. So I just got another one. But,
good.
so when I was still looking for it, I saw Danny, and Danny says, well, I'll look for you. So he looked, and he looked down here, and he goes, in between the seat and the console, he goes, well, here's your phone. He found the phone.
Oh my gosh.
So now I've got two phones. You know, if anybody wants an iPhone 8, they can they can reprogram it and have an iPhone 8 or whatever.
Well, it's always good to have a backup.
Yeah, right.
You never know.
That's right. Yeah.
That's wild.
It is.
Yeah,
wild.
well, I'm glad that actually worked out well with your hearing aid. I have friends with hearing aids, and they said they're really expensive, you know. And Medicare pays like what, $500 initially, and that's it.
I don't know if
they're
they
usually
pay
thousands. Right?
I'm not sure what Medicare might pay, but they might have paid part of it. But at Costco, they were only, the two of them together was only $1,800. So that's pretty good.
That's great.
For
I've
ones
heard
that actually
Costco's
work.
really good to go there for the test and the.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So that's working out well. So you still haven't heard anything from Sarah about the...
No, there's just, you know, it's the same thing. There have been homes that come up for sale, and the majority of them are way out from Asheville, like west of Asheville in the mountains. And then there have been a couple at, anyway, they've been, you know, just kind of out in the boonies, which I don't know if I just would like somewhere in a more familiar place, kind of in that Fairview area that is between you and Asheville, maybe a wee bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so that nothing has come up in the neighborhoods that she has shown me that I'm familiar with. So I just haven't felt comfortable, you know.
Yeah. Well,
pursuing anything yet. And even she says if things are kind of, you know, just kind of wait, just be patient. And
that's kind of what we need to do.
Yeah. That's what I'm doing. And I guess with all the stuff that's been going on here, all the craziness, I feel like, okay, so it's probably good that nothing's come up, because it would have been hard to really consider and make a good decision in the midst of everything. So
yeah, and it's good that we know her, and she's got her antennas up looking.
She does.
So that's good.
That's right.
And maybe maybe somebody I know out there, I don't know that many people though in Asheville, but maybe through the grapevine, through some of these groups, somebody will want to move or something.
Yeah,
or maybe we'll
that would be like the best.
If we had an inside connection, you know. Yeah. Offer them a good deal, something that they'd be comfortable not going out there and fishing around, because there's all, you're not the only person waiting for something, kind of thing.
Oh, there's so much of that right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe things are cooling off a little, the stock market is.
I started worrying about, because I got all this money in Apple, and it's like it lost like almost 10% in a week or something. I'm
I
like,
know.
how far can that? But I just remember what Buffett says. I mean, because the fundamentals of the company are still so good, it's mostly a symbolic panic.
And tech has been really hit hard. I have to think that some of the companies that have been hit really hard the last month or so, the tech companies, that maybe if these supply chain bottlenecks ease up once China hasn't been locked down, hopefully COVID is, who knows? They talk about another surge in the autumn. I don't know. But hopefully these are all things that are not permanent, that eventually will come back. And then, maybe it's a good time to buy more Apple.
Right.
I don't know.
Hopefully,
it usually is.
I don't know. I don't have that much cash to buy more. I've got too much.
Yeah, I'm trying to.
But hopefully, I was going to add Putin's Whirlpool is starting. Hopefully, his is winding down pretty quick or something. That would be nice.
We can only hope.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the energies go far away.
That's right. It's too many.
Yeah.
Too many crazy whirlpools. Yeah.
There really are. But well, we'll hang in there. Say hi to Jim for me, and
I will. And please say hi to Nikki. Give him a big hug, and I will look forward to hearing more about. What's his girlfriend's name?
Ellie. Yeah,
I like that.
Her parents are from Charlotte.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's nice. That's great.
Yeah,
so they can come and go together, kind of on the way. Yeah.
Yeah, we had lunch yesterday, and I asked her, "Well, how old is your mom?" And she said, "Oh, well, she's 58." And then I said, "Oh, well, that's not that much. That's your age, basically." So I thought, yeah, well, she's not that young. And then then she goes, "Oh, wait, maybe she's young." And I said, "Well, what year was she born?" She goes, 72. And I go, 72? No, she's 50.
49.
She's 49 because her birthday's at the end of June, so she's still 49. So don't let your mom know you're that far off on your calculation.
Yeah.
But that's the thing, when you're 20, anything over 40 is like ancient or something.
Oh, I know.
That's fun.
That's right.
Wow. Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
Well, great seeing you, and
good seeing you.
We'll see what's going on. Danny has his big thesis presentation tomorrow. That's his last real big high school thing. Yeah.
And then it's downhill. Get over that, right?
Yeah, he just has a couple. I mean, his rest of his classes are almost done. A couple tests that aren't that big of a deal. And
say hello to me. Hello to
Danny
from me.
I will.
And I'll look forward to hearing more about his upcoming graduation. So
yeah,
very good. It's great.
All right. Well, say hi to Sachi too.
I will. Okay.
And I'll say hi to Bruno.
Okay. Have a good walk.
All right. You too. It's still early there. You haven't had your walk yet, I bet.
Not yet. No.
Yeah.
We'll get out there.
Okay. All right. Is it warming up a little bit? I should be warming up.
It has. Yeah. This week is going to be warm, upper 80s.
Yeah, we got some of that later too. Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Great.
Spring and summer have arrived.
Yeah.
Okay, Raj.
Well, love you
so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Take care.
Take care, and we'll talk soon. See ya. Bye.
Love you.
Love you. All right, that was good. Ah.